We are live from Restaurante Don Roger, right outside of Uvita, and I've got to jump on the gun today because I've already got my coffee. Was that an expression? Jump on the gun. Anyway, before I turn you out to the ocean, I and the beautiful view because it is a beautiful day here in Uvita. The sun is pretty intense, but it's a beautiful day. The sky is blue. You have a little bit of clouds on the outskirts, but I want to let everybody know that in the description, there's a video about this place. We are live here. If this is your first time being live with us, and in the description, I've got a lot of interesting things. Some of the videos I've done for the week, like I've got the dolphin video done, which is really great. It came out great, and it's an up close and personal view of some dolphins. It was a trip I didn't expect to happen that way. We were out paddling, and our group was basically joined by a pod of dolphins. So I've got that video up. There's a link to that down below, and there's a lot of stuff going on. This week was kind of tough because I didn't have power on Tuesday, and half of Monday I was doing an errand for a friend, and I ended up I lost all day Tuesday. So no, all day Monday. I know I lost all day Monday, and I lost all day Tuesday because of a complete power outage for the whole day, and I was battling internet. So that gets rough here when you've got a lot of things to do, which I do, and you don't have power or you don't have internet, or in my case, I didn't have both because I woke up in the morning on Tuesday and there was no internet, and then about 6 a.m. because I wake up usually about 5. Then at 6 a.m. the power went out for the rest of the day. So I was a little frustrated, and I also because I had a sunburn, I couldn't really go out and do things in the sun, even with protection on, because I got a pretty bad sunburn on my legs and then on top of my head when I went out on a sea kayaking on Monday. But without further ado, you probably don't want to hear me chit chatting anymore. Let me see if I wanted. Buenos dias, Michael. ¿Cómo estás? Yes, it's beautiful here. I always like to hear what the weather is in other places if it's cold. Not that not that it's great for it to be so hot as it is here, because right now it's hot and it's dusty and I'm really missing the rain. But I shouldn't complain because it's nice. It's nice. The mornings are the most absolute best time. Oh, some other things that are going on here. We've got Envision Fest coming up the last week in February and into the first week of March, and it's going to really change the whole area. I've never been here for Envision Fest. The last 2 years, it's hasn't happened because of COVID. What Envision Fest is, it's a festival. It's kind of I really don't know enough about it to talk about it, but it's out there. It's there's some weird kind of festival type things, but it brings in a lot of people and not necessarily a lot of business, according to the business people I talk to. I think it's good for the taxi drivers and it's good for um, some hotels, but most of the people stay on the Envision site, which is just outside of town. But we're talking thousands of people that come for this, so it's going to change the experience here in Ovita. So, buenos dias, Senor Don. It's hot where you are too. He's just down the road. Yeah, they put in a new Maxi Pally, which I'm not super impressed with the Maxi Pally. It's a store. It's a chain. It's owned by Walmart, and the local supermarket BM is owned by local Costa Rican uh, entities. And I'm not super impressed with the Maxi Pally. But one thing I can say about the Maxi Pally, and Senior Don will agree, it's nice to go there because the air conditioning. You go in there and it's like wow. And I'm sure they've got it turned up like way more than they're going to have it in the long run, so people will walk in there and be impressed. Much like they have a few prices that are lower, but I definitely still like my local BM supermarket. We've got two BMs in Uvita supermarket there, pretty much the border of New York State and Vermont. So I'm glad to be missing that. But the roads are so dusty here. It's tough, and that's a silly thing to complain about. I should complain more about how intense the sun is and the sunburn that I got. But I shouldn't complain about anything really. But the high tide today is at 4:30 a.m. and it again at 4:55 p.m. Oh, that's the high tide. Ed. Scratch that. We're starting from the beginning. I don't have my glasses on. So the low tide today is at 10:40 a.m. and it's high tide is at around 5 p.m. That's uh, that's the magic seaweed. And if you're coming to Costa Rica and you're going to be near the ocean, you need you need to know the tides. It's critical. Oh, and I did. I've got a couple of polls going on, and I don't know if I can upload it on here. Let me see. I need. I There's a software called StreamYard that I need to do so I can do more things here. I wanted to show you the poll. There's a poll I'm doing on the website on the YouTube channel. It's interesting. It's not surprising really, but it was where would you prefer to live given the choice? And 27% and 5% not sure. But the thing is, I think people, when they first think about Costa Rica, they go, yeah, oh, it'd be so cool to live on the beach. But as Pete points out in his comments, it's really refreshing, some of the mountain places that are just really not awfully far from the beach. So yeah, I stayed at I was house sitting for a friend, and they live just up the hill in Ojo, and you don't need air conditioning there at night. They've got fans, but and they're up there a little ways. My ears pop going up, but it's not super far up. They're not super far out of town. It doesn't take long to get there. So yeah, if I'm just a renter. If I was buying property, I'd probably be one of those in between people. It would be, I think, ideal to have a place where you have a beautiful view of the ocean up on the mountain, and you had a really nice car with good 4-wheel drive and the ability to drive on the roads without worrying about your car. I've got a 2008 Grand Vitara, and I try to be careful with it because I know the roads are really tough on your vehicle here. So you try to take care of what you have. Warm in Florida. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of cool things. I mentioned last week I went on a horseback riding thing, and I've done a lot of things in the last few weeks out of my comfort zone, like zip lining, kayaking, way out further than I've gone before. But the horse thing was tough for me. I had a girlfriend back in the day that had horses, and I would ride on the back of the horse while she drove the horse. That's my mentality of horses driving. Like the horse I had, I swear that horse did not like me. But but it was scary first getting on the horse because you're just really not in control. The horse can do whatever the horse wants to do, and I got up on the horse and I'm up pretty high, and the stirrups are like you just have the tips of your feet in the stirrups, and I just it took me a while. I'm more comfortable now. By the time I got back to the barn, I was more comfortable. But it was at least a 2 hour experience, I think. But we get down on the beach, and they said when you get down on the beach, you're allowed to let the horse run. And I got out there and I started doing that, and then I was like, I don't have the technique at all, so I started to run, and I'm sitting on the saddle. I just like throw straight up in the air. I'm like, whoa, baby, that's it. We're gonna trot the rest of the way. But it was beautiful at sunset on the beach. It's quite an experience, and I have to throw my thanks out to Brooke and Mike from Costa Rica Chronicles because they're the one that showed me all that stuff. In my muchas gracias. Excelente. So it's pancakes this morning, everybody. We've got pancakes and fruta. Nice big thick pancakes. And you know one thing I noticed here, they're not super, they're not as in love with butter as we are back in the States. So you have to ask for that on the side if you wanted butter on pancakes with, like in the States, it's just a normal thing to get that. So my voice, ¿cómo estás? So yeah, here's the thing. I always mean to tell people this. If you're having trouble with the audio and things are breaking up, there's a possibility if you log out of YouTube and log back in that it may clear that up. Because on some devices, live is smoother than others. It's because I'm not having any trouble with the audio on monitoring it, but that's a possibility. That's a possibility. It could be a YouTube glitch because they've got so many different ways, different devices they configure for. But I've been talking way too loud. No, we're already 12 minutes into the broadcast and you haven't seen the ocean yet. So let's take a look at the ocean. And there's a boat out there. It looks like a sailboat of some kind. And Paula says it's been here 3 days. Our guard dog is on duty here. Somebody's coming into the restaurant, and the guard dog is on duty. That's the security system in use. The El Peno security. Let's see. So if you notice out there, neighbors, is that true? I wouldn't be surprised. But that's one thing about Costa Rica. You are going to encounter barking dogs. That's part of Costa Rica. And I don't mind barking dogs. I think barking dogs are a good thing. But what I don't like is a dog that barks for no reason. And I had to deal with that. Speaking of noises that you might experience in Costa Rica, there's a truck coming down the hill. And the truckers here love their Jake brakes. Even going through like on my street, it's just so you're not going fast on my street. Sometimes you'll hear them do it on there. It's like a macho thing for some of them, I think. So I had a barking dog in my complex area because there's multiple casitas, and there's one casita that's just across the way. It's through the woods, but there's a gully, so the noise from there travels right here. And there was a dog that's just been barking and barking and barking there. And I asked my landlord about it, and he said that the person that's living in that casita started feeding a street dog. But then come to find out that this dog that she's feeding already has a home. She was just decided to feed it, and the dog hangs out at her house and barks for whatever reason, for no reason. It would just, it would bark for hours just to bark. So I don't like that kind of barking dog. We've got a few dogs there in the casitas there that will bark if somebody walks by, and that's a good thing because that's your burglar alarm. my friend Victor, who was a tour guide, he started up a, he calls it the Uvita Kayak Club. And we have, right now we're doing it weekly. That may end up being monthly, but we're doing regular outings on Mondays. And 2 weeks ago is when we saw the dolphins. And then last week they went out and they saw whales. And he also went, there's three islands offshore called the Three Sisters. And they paddled out there, and it was perfect timing. It was low tide, calm seas. They paddled right inside of there's a sea cave out there, and it was so cool. I was so bummed out that I missed that. But next week he wants to do a paddle from Playa Ballena to the whale tail, so that'll be an interesting one. And all this sea kayaking gives me a little bit more courage for doing my paddle boarding. Yeah, I've got some interesting roosters in my neighborhood that you'll hear them at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, so you're right, down there all times of day. And I gotta throw a quick thanks to Don. He reminded me yesterday that he's been a subscriber to my channel for 3 years, and I told him I didn't think I had a YouTube channel for 3 years. But I know some of the people watching it were watching back when I was in the States, frustrated trying to get out of upstate New York in the cold and trying to get to Costa Rica. And sometimes for a while, there are times I get frustrated because I expected that to be over 1,000 subscribers at this point. But I'll say this, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again: the subscribers to this channel are all really, high quality people. They're all people that if we got together, we would all get along and have a good time. Because I see on some YouTube channels that people are just trying to, I don't know what they're trying to impress other people and trying to, they're just jerks to each other on the YouTube comments. Everybody here is respectful, and there's a lot of information that comes in with the comments on the videos, and then I learn more from that than probably that than I teach other people with the videos. And speaking of teaching other people the videos, I did a video on Playa Pinuelos that I'm going to have to redo it because I didn't have the right information. Playa Pinuelos is a smaller part of the beach. It's Playa Pinuelos, and then there's part of that beach that I was calling Pinuelos, Playa Vida, which I didn't learn until I was out with my guide friend Victor. And he said, "Yeah, we're going to meet at Playa Ballena." Oh, isn't that Pinuelos? He's like, "No, that's Ballena." Oh, okay. So I need to redo a couple of videos because I was referencing Pinuelos when I should have been referencing Ballena. That would be awesome to see a whale in a kayak. It would be harder on a paddleboard. I know I would fall off the paddleboard. I'd have to be, I'd probably be in the water pretty fast. So I'd have to be on my knees just experiencing that. But I've seen some of those cool drone videos where somebody's out in the paddleboard, in the kayaks, and anything in the water. I mean, they're these huge creatures, but they pay attention to the details. Buenos dias, Bob. ¿Cómo estás? I always make sure to tell them, come up here. It's just outside of the town of Uvita, and it's just a short drive up this hill. And I know that the town right now is full of tourists, and there's hardly anybody up here. And I'd like to see more business for my friends here that own this restaurant, and I'd like to see more tourists be able to have this beautiful view. So yeah, I'd like to be the what do you call facilitator for bringing these two entities together. That's a lot of that's one of the reasons I like what I do with the videos. I can show I can show visitors to Uvita some really cool things, but at the same time I can bring business to places that deserve to make some money this time of year, because during the tourist season it's it's a time of year where people they break even. It's kind of like, what do they call that, Black Friday kind of deal. But yeah, I got off on a tangent there, but I like the community here, and I like the small businesses. And like I did a video last week about the local barbershop here, Kitch's Barbershop, and that video did way better than a lot of videos I've done, and it's primarily because Kitch did a really good job of sharing the video, and he was so happy to have the exposure, so he shared the video, and that got a lot more views than a lot of the videos I've done recently. I did a dolphin video last week, or this past week, and I'm really surprised there's not more views, but I shouldn't be so greedy. It's approaching a couple hundred views, but it was a really cool video. I think more people should see it, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. There's a lot of surfers out there today. And surfing lesson is on my list. I've almost forgotten about that. It's something that I thought I would be doing. I thought it would. And you can hear the cicadas starting up a little bit early up here. Usually down in my place, it's not till around 8. But I guess it is approaching 8, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know what the deal is, but there's a two mast sailboat. It's a pretty big craft out there. And I don't know if you can see the vegetation there down below the bottom of the screen. And it shows you what the leaf cutter ants do. What they do is they rip pieces of the plants off and they bring it back to their underground den, and they ferment it to make a fungus. It's a really interesting process that I really don't know a lot about, but if you Google it, it's interesting to see what their purpose in carrying all these leaves. And you see that all the time, walking around, whether you're in the jungle or on the street, there'll be ants carrying big chunks of leaves. They're making their little fungus pile. No, Costa Rica Chronicles is asking me if I hooked up their puppy with their GoPro. Not their puppy, their dog, Buford. So I've got a harness for the GoPro that can go onto the dog, and this week I babysat you of documentary person. I definitely would have made 4 hours with Buford. He's a little. What breed is? He's a little. What breed is he? He's a dachshund. Dachshund. He's a little hot dog. That's what I call him. But yeah, it would be interesting to see the Buford view on the GoPro. To put it on my neighbor's dog, which is Dane. It's not a Great Dane, but it's a big. No, it's more like a Doberman type dog. But that would around like crazy. But I would love to take him to the beach with that. That would be so much fun. Except dogs. Either play a Hermosa or Ventanas. Ventanas would probably be the coolest. Contact. Let's see. Are we still out there? Shout if you hear me. Is there anyone at home? That's showing. I must have temporarily lost transmission, but I think I'm back because I've got viewers again. And I'm doing pretty good with my breakfast. So Don was saying the warranty is out on his car. So yeah, I can introduce Jose, my mechanic friend with San Isidro. You never know what's going to happen in these live streams. And I'm trying to get live. Yeah, the whole YouTube connection thing can be iffy at times, but I apparently have lost most people. Yeah, in Costa Rica, internet can be frustrating. Not only internet, but even electricity. And they're having a big festival outside of town called Envision, and a lot of people are saying our current problems that we seem to be having with our electricity going off is probably due to them uh, setting up the Envision electricity, because there's going to be, I've heard anywhere from 8,000 to 20,000 that come into this little small town for Envision Fest. I guess I guess one way to sum it up is, and it's not accurate. It's probably a stereotype of this, but it's kind of like a bunch of hippies coming into town and taking drugs at this festival. There's just a lot of chanting and drum playing and that kind of thing. But I'm sure I'm underselling it. I'm sure there's some benefits to it. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't be happening. But I don't know. But one thing I didn't realize when I started doing the lives is how many views I would get after I uploaded it. After the actual live, a lot more people watch after the live than during the live. So the insect noises here can be pretty intense at times. And when I was house sitting for Costa Rica Chronicles, in the middle of the night, there's this. I don't know what caused it, but there's a scream. I'm like, what is that? It's something I've never heard of before, like a banshee or something. The only thing I could think of is maybe it's one of the wild cats that are up there, because they've seen some different. I don't know if it was a puma, but it wasn't a house cat. It was some sort of wild cat up there on the mountain. Yeah, YouTube has got itself spread out, so they've got you can do your regular YouTube videos, then you can do your live things, and then that gets posted afterwards. And then there's the YouTube Shorts, which is basically YouTube trying to copy Instagram and TikTok with vertical videos that are um, less than a minute long. And I need to do more of those because those seem to be really popular. And it's a good way to tell a short story, or if I've done a video, just to show other people that there's a whole video on a certain topic. I've got I've gotten sunburned here a few times, but I usually don't get burned because I'm really proactive about my sunscreen and that sort of thing. But when I went sea kayaking, there was just two areas that got burned because I'm not areas that normally wouldn't get that sort of exposure, and one was the top of my head, and that was partially because I got a really short haircut, like almost to the skin, and then the other was the front of my legs because I was sitting in the kayak, and these particular kayaks are open to the air, so basically it's like sitting on the beach. But it was only for 3 hours, And in that 3 hours, I got a serious burn. But I'll be back on the boats Monday for our next adventure with the Uvita Kayak Club. And that's the early warning signal marking the arrival of another person or the departure of another person. So Don was saying he's had a lot of different repairs with his car over the past few months, but has that all been under warranty? That was been all taken care of? He bought it from a local gringo dealer here in town. He's a little bit controversial, and I won't mention his name because I don't want to get sued. But there's two gringo car dealers in our town, and they hate each other, and they're all. It, it's not so bad now, but for a while they were on social media just going after each other until the groups finally banned them from posting on there because it was just getting too much. When the whole car inspection system has changed here, there's a company called Reteve that used to do it, and it was so common that that people say, well, instead of saying an inspection, oh, I got to go for Reteve. It's kind of like Kleenex. I need a Kleenex, but now Reteve is not the company. The new company is Decra or something like that. So there's a little bit of a backup with appointments for that, and I'm not due till I think I'm due in May for my inspection, but I'm having my mechanic friend Josue do that for me. And he says I'll probably need to get an alignment and a few things. And it's good to have a mechanic look at your vehicle before you go in there because it's a hassle to have the appointment, and if you have to go back again, it's going to be another hassle to get back in there. So if you can do it in one shot, it's way better. And if you're just tuning in, make sure to throw a like on this if you would. It always is helpful. And I've got a lot of information in the description below about some different things going on, and also a link to a video of this place. There's a really good look of where it sits up here on the side of the hill. There was a flock of those, I think they're green parrots, that were down in the trees a little while ago. So that sailboat is moving around a little bit. It doesn't have its sails out there in the. I don't know if you call that a harbor. I guess you call it a bay. That's what that is, right? It's the bay. It's Whale Bay. That Otis Redding song comes to mind, sitting at the dock of the bay. Funny how the mind works. Yeah. So with Envision Fest coming up, I'm going to try to avoid that area as much as possible. But that's the area. The area where Envision Fest is right right adjacent to the horse riding stable that I recently went to. So that must be a kind of a hassle for them during the festival. You don't know who's going to be wandering up onto the property. Yeah, I had to have some work done on my AC, but it didn't end up being that much. It's good to have a mechanic that you can trust, which is not easy to find. I've got a guy in Uvita that I trust, and I've got a guy in San Isidro that I trust. So I feel blessed in the fact that I have that, because when you have an older car, it's important that you have a mechanic that'll keep it running for you. And the roads here in Costa Rica are tough on your vehicle. I think my shots, but yeah, I think my shocks are pretty close to being shot. I feel every bump in the road right about now. And if somebody's driving a newer model, Forerunner, Fortuner, they're not feeling the bumps in the road, and they can just be you'll be going down an old back road and taking your time, and they just come flying by. But because of my sunburn, I have not been able to ride my bicycle, which I need to do. When I don't ride my bicycle, I can definitely feel it. Put a little bit of weight back on just from not being active. And it's not that I'm not being active, but it's this short. For the last week, I've been living the life of a vampire, trying to stay out of the sun, protect my sunburn. So yeah, it was kind of contrasting weeks, because the week before I'm out on the sea kayak and riding the horse, just all over the place, and then there's a week where you're confined to quarters because you're burned. So if you're on vacation and that happens to you, that can ruin your whole vacation. I'm lucky I can have a do over next week. It's a funny thing that I've learned since I started doing lives is any ambient song in the background that that gets picked up usually gets flagged by YouTube for copyright. Like right now, in a very distant um, distance, there's a song "We're Happy" by Parnell Roberts, or not Parnell. I don't know what the guys. That's from Bonanza, but that song because we're happy is in the background. When I upload this, YouTube will say, "Oh, that's a copyright infringement," and that's not. They don't ban your video or punish you or anything, but they reserve the right to put an ad in your video because of that, which I think is kind of weird. They must be doing surf lessons out there because there's like a whole pod of surfboards out there. But from this spot with a pair of binoculars, I mean, you would have a fairly decent chance of seeing a whale breach off in the distance if you were very persistent and had good vision. And if you keep your eye out for the whale boats, because the whale boats usually figure out where the whales are. I think there was a bug in my coffee. That's what happens when I don't pay attention to my coffee. Yeah, and Don was pointing out in the comments that it's an adjustment, the the temperatures here, and for me, the temperatures really aren't too bad. It's the sun, just the intensity of the sun. Of course, yeah, the temperature's pretty high. We're into it's around high 80s, around 90 sometimes. I like it about 82 if I'm going to have my choice, 81, 82. But it is amazing what a difference in your house, like a couple degrees. And I keep the humidity down as much as possible. That's my main goal with my air conditioning. But yeah, it's the intensity of the sun for me personally that I have the hardest time with. That I don't like to wear a hat, but I guess that's going to be what I need to do. And I've got a couple of goofy looking gringo hats that I guess I'll have to start wearing. And I lost one of my favorite baseball caps in the ocean, and I felt bad because I polluted the ocean more than actually losing the hat. But I didn't even realize I lost it until I got home and looked at the video because I was going out on my paddleboard and I had my hat on and I'm going through the breakers and then a big wave came and smashed into me. It didn't knock me over or anything, but I kept going through it and it took my hat off and I didn't even notice at the time that I lost my hat. And I was watching the video afterwards. I'm like, oh man, I lost my hat. Yeah, I mean, Manuel Antonio definitely is on the bucket list, but right now I'm I'm focusing closer to the Uvita area, just for some of the things I'm going to be doing here. But I I'm going to wait till after the tourist season lets up a little bit to go to Manuel Antonio because it's a lot cheaper to stay. There's a little hotel there that I get a good rate on Expedia. I did in the past anyway. Hopefully, I could do it again. But it was right on the beach there. The beach that recently had the crocodile swimming across it. I can't pronounce the name of it. It's the beach right outside of Manuel Antonio Park. But on my short list of things that I need to do, uh, first is I need to get up to Daener's coffee plantation and get some video before. There's parts of the process that they don't do all year long, and there's only a couple weeks left of certain things that they're doing when he does the tour. When he does the tour, he shows you everything, but there's certain parts that you don't, that aren't included when you're at certain times of year. Hey, puppy, how are you? Yeah. Pero. Aquí. Bueno, just feeding a little puppy here. But yeah, back to what I was saying. My short list of things to get done is I need to do the river tour, Serpe River tour. I need to talk to the guys at the Jungle ATV to see if we can do something with them. Definitely the coffee plantation. And I've never done an official video of the Cascada Verde, the Uvita Falls, but this time of year, I don't. The falls are so low; it's just a trickle. But still, the swimming holes are pretty cool and all that. Puppy, what's that? What's that? One thing I've noticed here that it's not necessarily true in dogs that I've known in the States is that dogs here will eat just about anything. Like watermelon. I guess different dogs eat different things. And the thing about Manuel Antonio, it's not that far away either. I've only been up there once, and I didn't actually go to the park. I went to, I went to the beach and I went to see Benjamin and the Howlers, who sing the famous song "Sell Your Stuff and Move to Costa Rica." And yeah, it was a cool time. I remember I was at a bar and I saw a sloth going across the power line in the dark. It was pretty cool. They're faster than I thought they were. When they want to go fast, they can go pretty good. I mean, they're not like a cheetah or anything, but they can go. So I definitely need to up my game with the streaming. There's tools like StreamYard that will allow you to stream to multiple places. You can stream to YouTube and Facebook and other things at the same time. I actually did a live stream on TikTok last week when I was up here just for the heck of it. That was interesting. I was shocked at the number of viewers that I had at one point. The thing with TikTok is people are just like scrolling through really quick. I should just put my phone on a tripod and live stream to TikTok. We're live here in Uvita, Costa Rica, and it's Restaurante Don Roger, which has a spectacular view of the what's called the whale tail. It's basically what it is. It's a sandbar that at low tide makes the shape of a whale's tail. And fittingly enough, in this area, there's a lot of whale sightings. So there's whale boats that go here. I'm doing a TikTok live at the same time I'm doing YouTube live. So that's the view of the whale tail. So I'm streaming live on my YouTube channel right now, and doing a little live on TikTok. I'm new to TikTok live streaming, so this is a whole vlog. But it's been handy. I just flip over to this, that. So I've got a YouTube channel, Costa Rica Story. You can get to CostaRicaStory.com, and there's should be a link in my profile. But I do a lot of stuff about Costa Rica. I just recently did a dolphin video that was pretty cool, zip line, that kind of thing. So swing on over there and check that out. It's pretty fun stuff. So I'll let you see the view again before I tune out. I'll let you see the view again before I tune out. There's quite a few surfers out there. I think there's surf lessons going on. I'm going to get better with this TikTok live, but for now I'm just experimenting around. So thanks anybody that's been watching. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, they definitely check for food. I've heard stories there. You don't want to mess with those monkeys. You don't want to go in there with any kind of food in your bag. And you know people, they will always try to do that. Yeah, they're not. Don was saying they check your bags at Manuel Antonio to make sure you don't have anything you're not supposed to bring in, primarily food, because that can cause a huge issue. Those Capuchins can be pretty intimidating. That's from the videos I've seen. And one piece of advice that everybody gives you if you're going to Manuel Antonio is to use a guide, because you're going to see a lot more wildlife with a guide, especially things like sloths. Sloths are tough to spot. You know, if there's monkeys around, you can see the motion in the trees, but the sloth they're so subtle. I don't know if Costa Rica Chronicles is still online, but I just want to know if you were impressed with my ability to pick coconuts from your. I was house sitting for them, and the coconuts are way up, and it's just impossible to get to them. But they have that they had a pole in their yard, and I took a serrated, like a steak knife, and I duct taped it to the pole. I didn't duct tape, I gorilla taped it because Mike has this really super gorilla tape that's better than duct tape. And I put the knife on the end of it, and five or six at least coconuts from the tree there. And that was a little bit of work. It's if the stem is thin, it has some give in it, so you're not able to saw it as well as you would. I've seen the professionals do it down on the beach, and they just go up there and they've got like real saws on the end of their poles, and they just go up there and they chop them right off. But so when Costa Rica Chronicles came back to the house, they had people had one chopped up and ready to have straw put in it in the refrigerator, and I also took the water from a couple of them and put it in a mug. So when they came home from their trip, they had some frosty cold agua de pipa. And I'm sure it took me a lot more labor than it would somebody that knows what they're doing. I actually had the saw out at one point because when you're setting up a coconut for drinking, you like to cut the bottom off so it has a flat surface so you can set it down. And that when you buy pipas at the beach, that's how they are. They're the bottom's cut off so you can sit on the table and put it on the table and put your straw in it. Do that, but I had to cut the bottom off with a saw. I used a machete for some of it. It's truly an art form, making up a pipa. And there's the groove to stem open and go that way. That's a gringo way of opening a pipa. When I see a tree full of coconuts, I just get so frustrated when I can't get to them. And that's at their house. That's what it is. There's clusters and clusters of perfectly ready coconuts. They're full of all that delicious coconut water, which is to me is the nectar of life. There's something really special about coconut water, especially directly out of a coconut. So I drink coconut water every chance I get. I probably should have taken that knife back off the stick, but in case you guys want to give it a try, it's a lot of work. It's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be, like sawing at it. I was thinking of standing on my car and trying to cut it down from there. Stand up there to get me a little higher, but I'd probably end up with either a coconut on my windshield or a coconut on my head. I'd be like Gilligan on Gilligan's Island. But I've been frustrated like that before. Like play up in Wales, we'll actually play at Vagina. There's there's little bananas growing up in the tree, and I just couldn't get to them. They're just out of reach. If I had a little stick with a little saw on the end of it, or even like a little hacksaw blade, it would be perfect. I need to rig something up like a retractable little pole that you can carry around with you, so you can cut a pipa off here or there, or cut a banana off. But I'm not sure if you're allowed to do that in the parks, though. So probably shouldn't. You never heard me say anything about that. Nope, didn't say it. So I think the next project I need to focus on is my best friend Damir's coffee place. It's Cafe Don Emilio, the official coffee of Costa Rica Story, and that's that's the coffee I drink every day. And I never thought when I was living back in the States drinking horrible office coffee, that I would have a best friend that had a coffee plantation. And he lives just right up the road from me. And he also does coffee tours. So if you're interested in learning about the process of how your coffee is made, um, you definitely need to do a coffee tour. And that's not even the best thing about his coffee tours. The best thing about his coffee tours is he's such a great guy and he's so entertaining. And where he lives up there is so beautiful. So you go for the coffee tour, but you get way more than that. And he also has been doing these cocoa tours. His One of his uncles um, that does cocoa, the chocolate type stuff. I don't coca, but that process is interesting. But there's on the way over there, there's some really beautiful waterfalls that are off the tourist map. It's an opportunity to experience some more real non-touristy Costa Rica. So I can't wait to give that a try. Yeah, and Daner's mother makes really good banana bread and all kinds of different things like that. And I've been there. I've been up there a couple of times, but I've never actually done the tour. And the drive up there is interesting. It's your typical Costa Rica up the mountain road, but it's really beautiful. It's just the scenery that you go across a really cool bridge. It's a little dusty right now because it's dusty everywhere right now. Yeah, there's a lot of people that will come here and they'll visit Costa Rica and they'll do the touristy things, the things that everybody else has done, and they don't really experience Costa Rica in the depth that they might have otherwise. So it's good to have friends in Costa Rica to show you these things that you wouldn't normally see. I feel I feel really privileged because of my friends here. And I've got a series I want to do. It's kind of it's in a way an homage or stealing an idea from Jerry Seinfeld, where he did comedians in cars getting coffee, where he would take a comedian and they would meet and they would drive around and then they'd go to a coffee place and they'd have coffee and talk. I've, I want to do Costa Ricans in cars having coffee and they just talk to some of my friends and go to different places and have coffee and talk about different things. And and when I say Costa Ricans, it's some Ticos, will probably be some gringos. So a mix of people. But I know a lot of Ticos that speak English. It would be pretty cool. I should try to do one with some of my friends that don't speak English, just to show you what it's like when we're talking. I mean, I did that briefly with a video I did with my ex-girlfriend Nathy. Showed how we tried to communicate. Listo, gracias. Muy rico. I guess it's that time again. So if you haven't liked this, if you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a. If you haven't checked out the description, I've got a lot of interesting things in the description about what's going on with me here in Costa Rica, and some links to some cool videos I've been publishing and working on. All right, this is always the most difficult part for me because I can't see the screen very well because of the reflection. All right, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe and all that fun stuff that I always tell you to do. All right, hasta luego.